Hello everyone. I just wanted to stop in and show some of the things that I've been working on. It has been a great weekend for sewing. I haven't done that kind of sewing in a long time, like hours, a couple of hours, maybe 4 hours yesterday. And it's just a sign that I've been feeling better and getting better. It's been almost a year since I had COVID, and that turned to long COVID, and I'll talk about how quilting has been part of my getting better. I've done a lot more exercising as I can, and that has helped too. And if you want to hear more about that, you can listen to my audio podcast about all the things that I've been doing. But this simple block is Genius by Lori Holt. And it's in the Scrappiness is Happiness, or you can go to Lori Holt has a YouTube channel where she does a tutorial on it, as well as a blog called Be Lori. One is her Instagram handle too. So this is how she did hers. And some of the things that I've seen Lori do with quilts is to use a singular bold background that kind of reads as a solid. Well, I had this solid yellow, and I thought, I'm going to work through this book and bust the stash. So look at my stars. Yeah, there's something quite not right with a couple of them. So, oh dear, I got to find the pattern again in the book. So you can look at Lori's stars don't twinkle. And mine do. Why? It took me 2 days to figure it out. Look at her stars. And here's a picture. Oh, isn't it cute? So look at her stars. Now look at some of mine. You can see it in a couple of these. This one particular, the criss and the cross isn't the same. And I kept rotating this block as I was sewing the second piece over top. So it doesn't go crisscross like this one I like. Crisscross, crisscross, crisscross. Oops, this one might be backwards too. I mean, there's only a few of them that are actually exactly the way they're supposed to be. Crisscross, crisscross. Oh, it's just so maddening because it bugs me. Now, if you look at, I'm using my little pen for my phone, but as you look at it, if I hadn't pointed it out, and if I hadn't have looked at them for 2 days going, why don't mine look like hers? I probably would have never have noticed it. But I kept going, there's something about mine that are not quite the same. So the lesson is, number one, my brain is still healing. And I probably would have picked it up much faster before, doing 8 blocks, almost 9, because I have another one cut out. But, I'm like, it's okay. Just let it go. Part of the problem with quilting is it just really does beg for a certain level of being perfectionistic. But it really brings up the perfectionistic and production thing inside of me that can rob you of a little bit of joy in making. So I just want to say, if you have a quilt that is like mine, I'm just going to call this twinkling stars versus crisscross stars, and nobody will be the wiser, right? Except you and me. But overall, I'm very happy. This block is easy to put together. They're 15.5 inches. It's great for busting a great stash. I have a great big stash. I inherited a quilter who had a very large stash, one of my friends, and she passed away. So I have a lot of her fabric to use up. Believe me, I've given away as much. No, I've given away more than what I've kept. And it's okay. The pieces that I have left, I love. And I like making these bright, happy, sunny quilts in April when it's snowing. Yeah, it's snowing. But I also have another top that's finished that I want to show you. So let me put it on the design wall. I decided to leave it because this is documenting the history of how my brain got better, how I was able to process information better. I'm very proud of this block. You know, if you zoom in, not all the points are there. Some of the pieces didn't 100% line up. I love this butterfly in the middle. Each one of these blocks were designed by different designers, so I got to learn about them each Friday as Kimberly Jolly was sewing. And I had an inspiration because I joined the Fat Quarter Shop, had a Facebook group. And the final layout at the beginning that was shown was a large star. And I thought about reworking the big stars in Friendship Stars and 8-pointed stars. But as I put these on the design wall, I liked them all together. I thought they were small. They're only 6.5 inches. And then putting them inside a star was pretty busy. And I wanted to document it as my COVID recovery. I did this when I had thyroid cancer a few years ago with a victory quilt that was designed by Eleanor Burns. And I thought it was a very, very wonderful quilt. It was a sampler and it was a statement of my healing process. And this one was inspired by some people were putting up some different layouts. And one of them was a Threadology quilt that Fat Quarter Shop did as a sampler a few years ago. And it's still up as a free quilt that you can download the PDF files and sew it. Their final layout was a spool. Now mine is much taller and thinner, but that's great because it reminded me of the vintage spools that I saw as a girl, and my mom collected a lot of spools and vintage spools. I went through my stash and I found this lovely cream. All I had is exactly what you see with maybe a couple pieces left. And I found this brown that I thought blended very well with the blocks, but that's all I had is exactly the width that you have. It was like serendipity. I'm like, this is perfect. I figured out how to make a spool by just adding a little tiny stitch and flip square at the end of my spool, and then I did math and I got this to all be the right length. So I just added 2 side pieces, pressed it, and then added the spool top and bottom. Easy peasy. I had it sewn quickly and together, and look, it looks like a very colorful, variegated thread. It's a symbol of my rehabilitation of my body, my mind, and my spirit, because I find quilting to be such a very, very mindful thing that I do every day for at least 15 minutes. And it really helps me to balance after a very stressful work week. And overall, it really hits that creative center that I need to stretch a little bit every day. This was a lot of work, and I'm very proud of this. It is full of mistakes, much like those crisscross stars. But you know what? When you put them all together like this and it's finished, it just sings. I really do like how this turned out. And you can still download these. Live on Fat Quarter Shop's website. It's Socialites 2. I think they're going to convert it to one great big PDF soon. But right now you can download each block. I just used what I had. I think the bottom is about 5.5 inches. The sides I think are 8. And I think the overall width is probably, I don't know, 35 or 40 something in the length is definitely, each of these blocks is 6 inches, so you could kind of do the math. 6 times 4 is 24. Yeah, you kind of do that. But anyway, that's Socialites 2. I did finish it, and I'm so happy with it. I hope that you have time to spend 15 minutes a day stretching your creative muscle. And if you're like me, I do like to do quilting and some hand stitching every evening. So that is this week's video, and I hope that you learned from some of the things that I learned this week about perfectionism, making mistakes, and sometimes you just got to go with it. And it still turned out to be beautiful. And I don't care that it is not going to take a ribbon at a show, because I made this for the process. And the final result is great. I love it. And that is the bonus. So have a great week. If you want to hear more about my journey, my quilting journey, you can listen on the audio podcast or go to your podcast website. I use Podbean, and it's My Creative Corner 3. And show notes are also on my website, which is mycreativecorner3.com. So have you had a rehabilitative quilt? Let me know about it in the comments. Or maybe rehabilitation isn't the best word. How about therapy? Because quilting is my therapy. Have a great week.